forth this evening would find open hearts, open minds, and that it would make a change in our lives, and we will be better for it.
So if you're not saying anything, then don't look to receive anything. Okay?
And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, Who touched my clothes? Mm-hmm. And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude throng thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain that which said, Thy daughter is dead. Thou troublest thou the master any further. As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe.
Thank you, Minister Perry. So if you read Mark chapter 5, Mark chapter 5 is brimming with what we would call impossible cases, okay? It has been called the Bible home for the incurables. There are at least 3 cases given in this chapter which are absolutely, humanly speaking, surely impossible, okay? Just totally impossible. Helpless, hopeless, humanly speaking. There was the demonic man, then there was the diseased woman, and then there was the dead girl. All three of these cases were considered impossible in the Lord's day, and they would be considered impossible down there on our day as well. For instance, the demonic would be assigned to a mental institution. They'd be at Fieldstone, okay? This poor woman would be assigned to a terminal care unit, which we know that. And the girl, of course, would be carried somewhere and placed for burial in the cemetery. The girl was dead, all right? Now, but as you move through the events in chapter 5, it's clear that Jesus is the master of the hopeless situation. He's not just the master of the sea, he's the master of everything, okay? You discover that Jesus, Carmen, is more than enough. He's more than adequate for every situation. And with him, and as long as you have him, there are no incurables. None. Okay? When you've got Jesus. In every circumstance mentioned, we see once again that Jesus Bonner is more than enough. To the man who was demonized, Jesus became the great psychiatrist. To the woman who was diseased, Jesus was the great physician. And to the dead, Jesus became the great pediatrician. Okay? Now what I want to do, Reverend Jackson, I want to get to how Jesus and this diseased woman, I want to get to how they went from hopelessness to hopefulness. That's my aim. That's where I'm going. But what I want to do is I want to start with the woman and back up and then get to Jairus. Okay? So now imagine, Minister Perry read the text. For 12 long years, y'all know how long 12 years is? I mean, if you got a headache or a toothache, 12 minutes is a long time. Then you get to 12 hours. And who was Advil? You know, I think you take one every 12, something like that. You've had a splitting headache or had something, foot ache, toe ache. 12 hours seems like days. This lady, it said 12 years. Years. That's a long time. 12 years, this poor woman had watched helplessly and hopelessly as her condition went from bad from worse. She went to what we used to say, the skillet to the frying pan. Just went from worse to worse. No matter what she tried, no matter how much money she spent, Alan, nothing good happened. Now, Sister Chapman, the question is, did the people taking her money know they couldn't help her condition? Yeah. I mean, they knew this, what, 12? I mean, year one, he knew he couldn't help her. So, yeah, they knew that they was about her condition. But y'all know, when you desperation will cause you to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Desperation to make you do some things. Yeah. They tried all this stuff that couldn't help her, but her desperation caused her to try the last thing she had, money. And of course, the doctor said, well, as long as you got that purse, I'm going to keep prescribing something. It don't have to work. I'm getting paid. You the one got the disease. But as long as you're going to pay me, I'm going to keep giving you sugar pills. I'm going to write another prescription because I'm getting paid. Okay? And then it says, surely that she spent everything that she had. Most of us would have thrown in the towel and given up hope, but not this woman. Now the question is, how did she find hope in the midst of her hopeless situation? Because she found it somewhere. How was she able to find hope in the midst of this? How? What was the turning point for her? What gave her the courage to hope again? I believe that the secret to her hope was based on two things. Number one, it says the declaration she heard. Let's look at verse 27 again. Watch what this says. When she had heard of Jesus. She didn't have no more money. She spent it all. The Bible says spent everything she had. But the text said she heard somebody somewhere talking about Jesus. That's why it's so important for us. He says in John 12:32, 12:31, if I be lifted, I will draw all men unto me. That's why it's so important for us to leave with the name of Jesus on our lips. When she heard about Jesus, that sparked some hope. We leave Sister Hazel talking about everything and everybody except Jesus. See, telling the dope dealer how the service was is not doing anything. The service can't help him. Telling him how the organ or the keyboard or the sermon, that stuff ain't going to do nothing. But when you tell somebody about Jesus, that makes it different. That sparks something in them. We never get to Jesus because we got all these layers of stuff we done told them that don't have nothing to do with nothing. I mean, nothing. They're like, I don't want to hear about that. She heard about Jesus. She didn't hear about a church building, a cathedral. She didn't hear about what color the van was. She wasn't interested in a vision. She wasn't interested in the Church of Jerusalem. She heard about Jesus. Jesus was the only one that can help her. We got folk there on them streets. And we want to workshop them to death, and we want to have this workshop. You want to have this thing. You want to have this thing. You want to have that thing. You know what they need? Jesus. And we'll send them to a workshop. When do people hear about Jesus? They hear about everything else in church. They know who going with who. I mean, they heard. They don't know because the people that's telling them don't know. They just talking garbage. They know this. They know that. They don't know nothing about Jesus because we ain't told them. We told them about all the stuff we dislike. And that man's still out there hurting. He's not selling drugs because he wants to. The lady ain't on the corner because she want a prostitute. They need help. And the folks that are supposed to be helping them, or at least telling them about somebody that can help them, I'm telling them how much I don't like Shirley. Somewhere, from some source, this poor woman heard about Jesus. Maybe she heard about how he healed that leper. You remember in Mark chapter 1, he said, Jesus, if you can heal me. Jesus said, I will. Stretch forth your hand. And he healed. She heard something from somebody that this man will heal you. Maybe she heard about the wild man across the lake. And we're not going to read that, Mark 5, 1 through 20. Or maybe some other poor soul who lived on the fringes of society due to an uncleanness of some kind had been healed of Jesus and came in and told her about it. We don't know what she heard, but we know something. The text said she heard about Jesus. She heard about Jesus. She didn't hear what she needed to stop doing. Telling her that you know you shouldn't have spent all your money on them doctors would not have helped her. What we like to do in church, and when I say we, I'm generally speaking, we like to tell Noah about the flood. You don't need to. He was in it. You say, what do I mean by that? Here you have a girl who has a baby out of wedlock, and we spend 8 months telling her what she shouldn't have done. We never tell her one thing what to do from here. We just keep saying, well, you know you shouldn't have did it every day. And then the girl stops coming to church, Drake, because all we doing is telling her you shouldn't have had it. Well, she know that. But how do you help her from here? You know you shouldn't have did that. You know it's going to be hard. You know, and that's all she hear. And nobody grabbed her around the waist and said, okay, baby, let's go from here. This is what you do next. We ain't into that. We just said, you know you shouldn't have did that. You know that was wrong. You know the Lord don't like ugly. Well, then he don't like you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But rarely do we offer folk help. We like damn them and point at them and all that kind of stuff. Use what they have. If somebody out there selling rocks said, look, man, let me tell you something, man. Doc, man, why don't you try my rock? Don't tell him to stop because he ain't going to stop no way. Because you and me can't make him stop anything. Say, man, let me tell you about my rock. Say, man, I had a situation like you. Wasn't the same situation, but I turned that thing over to Jesus, and he saw me through it, and he's no respecter of persons. If he helped me, he can help you. That's different than, man, put that liquor bottle down. You see the difference? One, you're encouraging me, and the other one, you're damning me. I could have tea in it. It's the only bottle I got. But what we do is point. And then if somebody hadn't been to church in 6 months, when you see them in Lowe's, instead of saying, hi, man, where you been? That drives them straight back to where he came from. Nobody, hi, how you doing? Man, you doing? Where you been? Been in the casino, ain't you? That doesn't help people. She heard about Jesus from somebody and said, this man will help you. We don't tell people this man will help you. We tell them this man will curse you and send you to hell if you don't stop. That's not right, Carmen. Let them know that there's help. This woman heard about Jesus from somebody. But watch this. When she heard about him, here's the great thing. She heard about him, and somebody must have said something, watch this, that he had power in him. Because watch this, Kim. This lady didn't set out for him to touch her. What she said is, I just need to touch him. So she had to, you don't just say I need to touch somebody if somebody ain't told you they got virtue in them. I wouldn't just say, okay, he got on an army shirt, I'm going to touch him. If I heard something about him or her or whoever it is, you know what I mean? So here's the thing, Sister Hazel. She didn't want him to touch her. She said, if I can just touch him. She may have heard about somebody else touching him. Watch this. Luke, what's that, Nicole? Luke 6:19. Obviously, she heard about this because this said a whole multitude of people. Now, multitude is so many you just call them a multitude. You don't say a lot or many. It was a multitude, right? And look what they did. They sought to touch him, for there went virtue, which means power, out of him. Like electricity. And it said he healed them all. Not some of them, healed them all. Because remember, these people came with the expectation. If you don't have an expectation, you're not going to get nothing. So if you don't go expecting to be healed, you ain't going to be healed. Because that's not what you're expecting. Okay? So she heard something. So the declaration she heard, and then next goes right with the first one. Because now she heard something, and because she heard something, now she was determined. Watch this. Watch this. When she had heard of him, she came in the press behind. Now remember, Jesus is walking. The Bible said Jairus was with him, and there was a lot of people with him. They were thronging him. So this lady says to herself, first of all, I ain't supposed to be out here. And they got all them people around them. She said, I'm getting in this group. I'm getting to him. Look, she came in the press. There was a lot of people. And I'm going to show you later how she got there. There was a whole lot of people. And she touched his garment. And this is what she said. If I can touch his clothes, I don't even have to touch him. She had heard about him. She believed what she heard. And she said, Sister Williams, if I can't touch H-I-M, I'll touch H-E-M. The him. That's what she said. If I can but just get his clothes, she said, I know I'll be made whole. Watch this now. Regardless of where she heard about him, she knew she had to get to him. She had come to realize that Jesus was her only hope. You've heard me say before that sometimes you don't realize all that you have in Jesus until Jesus is all you have. And Jesus sometimes will take things away from you so that you will have to depend on him. He said, because right now, man, you're dependent on your income. Right now, you're dependent on this, you're dependent on that. He said, let me take that stuff away from you and get your attention. Because the difference between a poor man and a rich man, the rich man, he run out of food, he go to the bank. He gets some more money, gets some more food. The poor man, Alan, ain't got nowhere to go, so he go to his knees. Ain't no bank for him to go to. You see what I'm saying? He going straight to Niue City. The rich man just say, I'll go get some more money. The poor man can't do that. He's got to rely solely on the Lord. And the Lord will get us all to a place where you've got to depend on him. He'll get you on your back, lay sick, and say, that money ain't helping you, huh? You may have insurance, but you don't have that insurance ain't giving you assurance, because the money can buy medicine, but it can't heal. You can't buy healing. You can buy medication. So, Alan, sometimes he'll take this stuff away from you. Sometimes, once again, he'll let you and me, he'll let us hit rock bottom, because only some of us know that he's the rock at the bottom. So you believe in Jim, you believe in Kellogg and all them, he'll say, oh, let me get your attention. He just closed the whole company. Like, now who you going? Because the place you depended on gone. So you stopped depending on me. And now you're depending on them. Okay? So this lady was determined. The poor woman had to be determined because she demonstrated great courage by approaching Jesus in that crowd. This lady had no business being out. But when you get desperate, pride go out the window. A lot of people cool, they ain't gonna stand it. Well, they don't do it like that. I guess now they have different things, but you know, they ain't gonna stand in the welfare line because somebody might see them. You know, you got pride. But I tell you what, you got 3 or 4 little shorties, y'all ain't ate in a while. You get to a point, babe, you don't care who see you. You hear me? You will stand in that line. If it's to get your kid, get some food for you will stand in that line and speak there and wave at folk going by. You, instead of ducking, wearing hats and sunglasses and fake mustaches, you be like, yes, sir, that's me, doc. Because, see, pride, the Bible said pride come before the fall. Look, I'm desperate now. I don't care who know I need help. Because everybody that know I need help and laughing at me ain't helping me. Right? All them folk want to pray for me, but don't know them want to give me bread. At this time, I don't need prayer. I need a piece of meat. And all y'all want to do is hold hands and pray. I'm hungry. Yeah. Yeah, it ain't got nothing to do with all that stuff. So you get desperate enough, you will do things that you swore up and down. And Daddy told me when I was little and lived long enough to find out he was true. Son, don't you ever say what you won't do, because you might end up doing it. Now, that don't mean you might want to, but don't you ever say, what, man, I would never do that. Okay. You know how many times that done been said? People telling you now, they telling you they having a little marital space. Man, I'll leave him if I was you. Yeah, okay. Believe that. Yeah, believe that. Now, think about it. They're going to leave somebody and ain't got nobody. Nobody. Oh, it's easy for you to leave. You're going home to the pillow anyway. I mean, anybody there now? I wouldn't take all that. You just don't have nobody to take it from. No, I'm serious. Everybody wants to tell you what to do and what they wouldn't do and what they wouldn't take and what they wouldn't eat and all that. Y'all, we done all heard it. Desperation make you do stuff that you wouldn't do when you was desperate. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. That's just like I said, and I'm dead serious. If it was not for a breakup, some men would never get a girlfriend. Because she just, especially if she's seeing with somebody, now she got to prove that she got game too. So now she go get the guy she wouldn't talk to last week when she was in her right mind. Now she's responding out of hurt. She don't want that dude, and she know it. But just to walk in the mall and hold hands and let you know, I got somebody too. Oh, that's stupid 3rd grade kindergarten stuff that grown people still do today, and it's ridiculous. You don't want him, you know it. You'd be like Melania. You wouldn't even hold his hand. He want to hold you, be doing this. All you want is for somebody to see or Sean have that appearance that, oh, she back on her feet. I saw her with, she don't want him. Desperation make you do things. This woman was committing ceremonial defilement. Do you think she cared? I'm desperate, about to die anyway. What y'all gonna do? Kill me? I'm gonna die. If I don't get to him, y'all talking about what you ain't supposed to be. Man, please, I ain't that you said no law. Like if I'm lost or bleeding and need to get somewhere, and that thing, Mr. Perry on the highway, you the officer that say authorized vehicles only. Listen, if I'm lost, that's me. I'm turning right there. Now, if you talk to me and pull me over, look, man, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. I ain't going to drive 800 more thousand miles when I can, even if you give me a ticket, I'm turning here. Authorized vehicles only. Man, I couldn't see that, it's dark. I'm saying at that point, I'm desperate. I don't care. I'll deal with the law later. Like people with this stuff, the gun thing, the debates and all this stuff, and shoot all this stuff, and they try to give you all these things, and okay, if you got a gun and you in church and you shoot somebody, I deal with that later. If you getting ready to kill somebody in here, you getting killed. We'll deal with the other stuff later. I mean, you imagine somebody got like this at your wife, and you sitting there going, now see, if I shoot him, I might I don't care. At that point, you getting shot. Because you about to harm one of us. We can deal with the other stuff a living. But if we all dead, the law ain't gonna matter. Because we dead. Do I drag him through the window? Do what you want? Figure it out later. At this point, you need to save yourself and your family. You can deal with the legalities later. You can get killed and wonder around, do I cross the T or dot the I? She was desperate. She wasn't caring about that defilement. She was taking a great big risk because if she had been recognized, she would have been subject to public humiliation and ridicule. This lady, look at her. She got to crawl through the crowd, touch the hem of his garment. And if she touched the hem of his garment, she had to be on the ground. So Sylvia, she had to crawl. She had to get, now remember, it's a throng, it's a multitude. People stepping on her hands. She bleeding. And then when some folk did see her, see who she was, they gave her a Draymond, they kicked her. But you know what she said? I don't care about all that. If I can get there. Down there, we too proud to go. I ain't getting on no dirt crawling to him. Now, you the one bleeding, 12 years. I ain't getting on no, I see a path. I ain't get, maybe he'll get up or maybe they'll. We ain't desperate enough. And when you ain't desperate enough, you stay in the same position that you're in. We was having a conversation about homelessness in Kalamazoo and some different stuff, and we were saying that the coach recognized the guy that was asking him for some money had a certain cigarette. He called the name of it, and I don't smoke, so I don't know what it is, but he said, they had $1 cigarette. So he had smoking one, he had 5 in his pocket, that's $6, so he gonna ask him for some money. He said, dude, I know that cigarette, what it costs. You got 5 here and 1 here. And you asking me for that could have bought what you asking me. And Gloria Clayton in Kalamazoo now, them rascals, Dre, I don't know if they do it here, they got poles now where they put the poles in the ground and put the sign in so they don't even have to hold it. And they got a chair that they sitting in. I'm serious. Says Charlotte, they sitting like this and the sign right there. And they got smartphones doing this and the sign say homeless. I kid you not. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, and Josh even said, he said, Daddy, even if somebody gave him the phone, it's a monthly bill. So he paying Darnell something once a month. That's my point. And then they got now they got work up. And here too, you drive down to work wanted, help wanted, everywhere. McDonald's, Burger King, hire on the spot, and you gonna ask me for money. Yeah, and it's just Chapman. Maybe that's just me, my mind. I just don't think homeless people should have that great of penmanship. Like, do you see the signs? It's like professional. I mean, like, it seems like if you're homeless, you should like write bad. maybe that's just me. It ain't right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm thinking now, where you get the pen? You had to buy the marker, right? You bought the poles. You bought the box to stick it in, and you sitting on a chair. And some of them have bikes down there locked up, chained next to them, and you homeless? I know it exactly. Because my point is, there's some things. Now everybody that's asking us for a nickel is not like that. We know. But 80% of them is like that. We know everybody's not. We know that. But folk ain't desperate enough to actually go and get something done. They got agencies here. Okay, we'll help you. We're handing out stuff in, say, Lakeview from 1 to 3, and you live here. Well, I ain't got no way. Don't you know if you really needed that, you'd walk and get it? You'd literally walk and get it. Andrew used to walk to the golf course when he was coming up. How long was that, Andrew, just to get there? Long way, but he walked there. We got folk now, if you don't take them or give them a bus token, they won't go from that wall to that wall. They make a lot of money. They would still make more, I think, with the job because that's consistent. Yeah, they had, now you got, obviously, they had some people, obviously, out in the bigger cities, obviously, where, you know, some of them make like $75,000 a year begging. It's just Charlotte. Everybody know you. They ain't going to give you nothing. Everybody in Battle Creek, Kalamazoo know you. Oh, you going out of town. You know what? Pastor Tatum had told me about this guy when we was going down there Friday. And I don't know if he got some of y'all in the parking lot, because when we came out, he caught me right at the gate. He was leaving other cars when we went over there last week. Pastor Tatum said, it's a black guy, short guy, described him to the T. He said, he's going to come up to you, and he's going to have his veteran card out. Sure enough, he had it. Hey, man, I'm a veteran. I'm trying to get, he's trying to get a train ticket. He got you? I told, because he was in the parking lot. I know it. And Tatum, did you give him any money? Okay. I didn't even get that far. He ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. But Tatum told me what, and he did it verbatim. I mean, he came with it out. Hey, man, he didn't say hi or nothing. Didn't even tell me I was clean. I thought I was clean Sunday. He didn't tell me nothing. He just came with that card like this. He said, hey, I'm a veteran. I need some, and he was dressed nice. Had a backpack on, said I need some money to get on the bus. Doc, I can't, no. And then he said, thank you, and he just kept walking. So and they use that now because they think, because some of the signs in Calum, again, they veteran, it's right on the thing. I guess they think if you see that you're going to just give. Like, well, no. Because we know they have places to help you. And we can steer you to them. We know that. Oh, yeah. So when you're desperate, you do things. When you ain't desperate, you just keep getting what you're getting and keep doing what you do. This woman said, look, I'm tired of bleeding. I'm going to die anyway. Let's let me die trying to get to the hospital. Okay? So, now let's go back to Jairus. They're going to tie this thing up. Jairus was confused about a few things. First of all, he was confused about a hindering situation. Now, the text doesn't say Jairus didn't cuss. It don't say he did cuss, but it don't say he didn't. Now, think about this. You driving, or you call the EMS, the medics or whoever, and they're on their way. And all of a sudden, one of their friends see them, and they just start talking about Facebook or back in school. Now, your daughter dying, and somebody talking to them about nothing. And you're like, man, didn't I tell you? I mean, like, you know what I mean? So Jairus' daughter is dying, and Jairus probably got ticked off and upset by the delay of this woman. Like, he probably some things he didn't want to say in front of Jesus, but like, man, lady, you better, lady. I mean, if you've been sick 12 long years, another hour ain't gonna hurt you, Sylvia. You've been bleeding 12 years. Another hour you ain't gonna get no weaker. Right now, he on his way to my house. Am I the only one who did that? Now, y'all know y'all, Petri and Odessa wouldn't have. They nice. The rest of us would have. Like, oh, no, you talk to him later. He coming to me now. I'm on his schedule now. My little baby at home. You've been sick 12 long years. She ain't but 12. My baby gonna miss her prom. Yeah, I need her healed. Now, we get back to you later, lady, and I'll come back with him and help you. But right now, you need to leave him alone. As Jesus is dealing with this woman, precious seconds is ticking by. And Jairus looking at her like, number one, you ain't supposed to be out here. Now we got to do all this because you're bleeding in public. It's hot. It's 100 degrees. Now you're smelling. My daughter at home sick, and you talking about I got a problem. We don't know what was going through Jairus' mind, but I don't think it would be guessing to say his stomach was, I'm showing knots, because you know when any parent that has had a kid, when that kid gets sick, you be like, Lord, give me the flu and let the child sleep. Give me the fever. I don't care what they got. Because you hate to see your child, any child, but you hate to see and it's a helpless Mr. Perry because you can't do nothing. You may be able to split atoms in your mind and lift the world, but if that baby got a fever, ain't nothing you can do but sit there and cry. Because you can't do nothing. And that's a hopeless and helpless feeling. I mean, when I say don't do nothing, obviously you can pray and you can go get ice and all that. But I'm saying you can't do nothing. You can't take the fever. Because any one of us parents in a minute would say, Jesus, exchange this thing. Give me the fever and let the little baby sleep. Because I can go downstairs and watch TV and I do something. You know, I drink freeze pops. But the child just sitting there crying. And it's hurting me because my baby hurt. So his stomach had to be in knots. And again, those of you who had a sick child, you know. Here's something you need to remember, though. Dear doesn't run on your schedule. Because that's what we want. God is not bound by the constraints of a time and or space. It may surprise you to know that God owns no calendar or clock. And the delays in life are designed to actually increase our faith. Delay is not denial, but the delays are put there to help us in some way. You ever been driving and you mad at the old lady with the blue hair because you don't think she should be driving? And you calling the lady everything, and you forget that one day you and your mother, and that's your mother, and that's going to be us at some point. And you mad because you can't go 70 in the third, and then you get up there, and the car you pass has been in an accident, hit a train or a deer hit him, and the only thing that stopped him, was that old lady that I couldn't get around. And God is trying to tell you, man, slow your. We looking all around doing this. Just wait. And usually what we do, Archie, we get mad at people that's on time because I left to go to work 5 minutes before I'm supposed to be there. So I'm in a hurry. So I'm yelling at, and you actually going the speed limit. The old thing ain't got no business driving no way. That old thing is going to be our mothers. Soon, and it's gonna be us, and them kids gonna be behind us. Whole thing, and all that stuff gonna go back to your head. Cause remember what you sow. Lord have mercy. That's why when I get too old, I'm just have people drive me around. I ain't even gonna drive. Nah, I can't do it. Huh? So here you got a hindering situation, but here's a delay. And we don't like delays, and especially when somebody is sick or dying. Because watch this, I know it. I done been there myself, I done seen it. When you go in that emergency room, you the most important person in there. You don't care who been in there waiting, why they going before. Now you don't even know, they could have went to the bathroom. I was here first. Ma'am, no, she came in at 5. Well, I didn't see her. Well, that don't mean. Exactly. Yeah, and they even ask you when you go in, they say, do you have chest pain? Because if you're doing all that, they'll take you first. Right. And don't lie and tell them about, yeah, and then go back there and they have them, because God might give them to you. Oh, you want chest pain? Pop, 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 pop. Oh, Lord have mercy. Did they just step over it, or they come get her? They came and got her. She went back there and straightened up. So can I have some Sprite, Sarah, miss? Oh, you can talk now. Yeah, so delays, God is actually doing something to help us. We don't understand it because everything is, especially now, so everything is quick. You don't have to wait for nothing. Social media, you can, psst. See, it used to be if you messed up, you'd be voted in before anybody knew. Not now. You do something in Germany, in the next millisecond, it's all over the world. I mean, everything. Literally, they'd have to catch up, and like I said, by the time the story came out, you'd be in. But not now. Man, they catch you before it happened. So delays are meant to actually increase our faith. Sometimes God is telling you, the thing that you're asking for is not wrong, but your motive is wrong. And sometimes you got the right motive, but you ain't mature enough to receive what it is you're asking. Do you realize if your parents gave you everything you asked for when you was little, some of you wouldn't be here today? Now, you wanted it because when you're that age, you know everything. You know everything. And each day, oh, man, I'm so thankful for God. Each day, there's something happens where Josh is realizing that he don't know everything. You know, he's 12. He know everything. You know, everything. And he's kind of smart, which is worse because he know he's smart. But he's 12. And when you're 12, you know, come on. You know. So each day something happened, and I don't have to say nothing. And he'd know it. And he'd just be like, okay. Then he started asking me math problems. I'm like, dude, I don't know. But I'm smarter than you. I don't know math. Yeah, he go to math. I go to life. But you couldn't open that jar. Yeah, you can figure that equation. I open this. You know remember that commercial with the hammer? Lift it. Well, GE is doing all this stuff. Son, you can't lift it, can you? So, yeah, life will teach all of us some lessons in a big way. Okay? But my point is some of those delays in which we don't like, they're actually good for us. And as we grow and mature, we'll be like, oh, thank you for not giving me that. Oh, Jesus, thank you. Ooh. Because, our eyes glitter. We want stuff, and some of that stuff ain't good for us. So Jairus was confused by a hindering situation, and then Jairus is confused by this helpless situation. Look, watch verse 35. Watch what this says. Watch the cold, hard words of this. Watch this, Sister Sheena. Watch this. Verse 35. While he yet spake, so Jesus is still talking. Remember now, because he fooling with this woman, that's what Jairus thinking. He ain't say nothing because he was Jesus. He's still talking. So while he's speaking, somebody comes from the synagogue and said, your daughter is dead. Cold. I mean, not like, let me holler at you, step aside. You know what I mean? In front of everybody. He just, look what he said. Man, your daughter dead. Like, excuse me, come over here for a second. Let's sit down there. Let me holler. Come over here. No, man, your daughter dead. Look. Why trouble the master anymore? Your daughter dead, dude. She dead. If anything, you ought to beat that heifer that stopped him. And Jairus is standing there looking like but he can't say nothing because Jesus is standing there. He's met with the cold, hard facts. The news is blunt, is final. Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the master any further? What they are actually saying is, don't bother Jesus. Even he can't fix this problem. That's what they were saying. And if you live long enough, Alan, there is going to be not hooligans, heathen. There are going to be some people who call themselves Christians who are going to tell you God can't even get you out of that one. They're going to be saved people. Or people who say they saved. Churchgoers. Holy Ghost shouters with all the bumper stickers on the car. Some cars you can't even see because this Christian stickers all over the car. It ain't going to be from folk that you would think. It's going to be from folk that you would think that's going to occur. Man, Alan, you done, man. You ain't getting out of this one, bro. And these going to be folk that just may have just prayed with you. These ain't going to be nobody high on cigarettes. These going to be Christian people who going to tell you, well, God can't get you out of that one. The dude said, in essence, Jesus can't fix this problem. You ever been in a situation like that? Not somebody dying. Just you had something and somebody say, I don't know how you're going to get out of that one. Now, they claim they know Jesus, and they telling you they don't know how you're going to make it out of this. And they know who you serve. But yet, Sister Chapman, they telling you, I don't know how you ain't going to make this. See, man, you messed up because you got the worst. Man, they done told me about that probation officer. He don't get nobody no slack. So God all of a sudden has lost some kind of something, and God can't do nothing with this man that's a probation officer or this woman or whoever it is. God can't do nothing with this judge because, man, this judge is, move. Man, they judge this judge. And I've heard it. Man, that judge don't like black people. You go in front of the black judge, you get the same amount of years. Like, well, what was his problem? Not the crime I did, Dre. He don't like black people. Yeah, yep. So watch this. The situation screams no hope, no hope, no hope. And people telling you that. But in spite of him being confused by this hindering situation, in spite of him being confused by this hopeless situation, he's actually confirmed now by the words of Jesus. Now watch what Jesus tells him. This is going to shock you. Jesus is saying to Jairus, Jairus, don't believe what you just heard. Like, wait a minute, that don't make sense. What do you mean don't believe it? It's true. She is dead. Right? And here Jesus is saying, don't believe what you just heard. Don't believe what okay. Then Jesus said, in essence, don't believe what you know about death. Now, wait a minute, don't believe what I heard. So I'm supposed to forget what I heard. My ears don't lie. And you telling me don't believe what I heard. And now you're telling me don't believe what I see? I mean, Jesus, that makes sense. And then he said, most of all, don't believe what you think. What? Don't believe what I heard. Don't believe what I see. And don't believe what you know? Like, Jesus, you're confusing me. What Jesus was saying was, in the midst of all this, trust me. He was not saying, act as if you did not hear what he said. What he was saying was, even though you heard that, trust me. Yeah, he wasn't trying to mansy-pansy like, okay, you didn't hear what you said and all that old crazy. No. He was like, in spite of what you heard, in spite of what you know about death, trust me. He's saying, Jairus, you believed me when you came to me a few minutes ago. That's what he said, Sheena. He said, don't let what you heard affect your belief. Because if you came to me a minute ago thinking I can do it, I need you to have that same belief even though you're looking at a dead person. Because if you don't believe I can get her from the dead, then you must not have believed I could have healed her when she was sick. Because if I got power to heal her when she's sick, I got same power to heal her when she's dead. So he said, if you believe when you can, I need you to keep on believing. And what did Jesus do? When they got to the house, see, back then they had professional mourners. They would actually pay you to cry. They paid mourners. They would pay you, and you'd come to the funeral and cry. Yeah. Well, they don't need to pay us because we just cry anyway. But they would pay you. You were mourners. You were professional mourners. And they ain't have people just going, oh! You had to, like, cry in, like, sync. You couldn't just be wailing and hollering. You know, you had to cry cute and on key. So they would pay you. I'm serious. And you go mourn. Now, you're falling all out. They say, no, we don't need that. That's too much. We don't need all that. Because, you know, people be falling out. And I done seen people straddle the casket and all that stuff, try to get in there. And then you hear people in the family going, that's mighty funny. She ain't went to be in mama house in 2 years. Now she's trying to get in the casket. That's guilt and lying and guilt and all. That's what it is. Because like I said, Shirley, once they crank it, now you can do what you want, but once they crank it and close it, what's ever in there going in the dirt. And we ain't going to pay no attention to this. You want to get in there and be with mama? You go get mama. So they got to the house. They doing all this stuff. And Jesus said, why y'all weeping? Why y'all making all this fuss? He said, why you making all this to do? They said, well, the lady is dead. Girl, he said, she's not dead, she's sleeping. They laughed him to scorn. You know what he did? He said, Jairus, let me tell you something. He said, you can come. He went. He didn't even have all the 12. He got Peter, James, and John. He said, y'all come on. Everybody else get out. See, Jesus don't like negative energy in the room. He said, no, you got to get out. I only want people in here that believe. He put them all out. Except now whether her mother was alive or not, he didn't ask for her. He had Jairus, Peter, James, John, and Jesus. He said, everybody else get out. And he went and breathed over the girl. I said, Talitha Kumai, and the little girl arise. And when she got up, he said, give her something to eat. You look through the Bible, that there were 8 resurrections in the scripture. Everybody got up. They said, get him something to eat. So it's something about, I guess you must, like if you full at 7 o'clock and Jesus gets you back up at 10, they give you something to eat. So I don't know what happened in that 3 hours. Because you're hungry all over again. He said, give him something to eat. Yeah. Yeah. Because this girl, remember, she had just died. So I don't know how long it take for the stuff to leave your body. No, I'm not talking about the person on the bus. I don't know nothing about that, the person on the bus. I'm saying this lady, remember, she had just died because they came and told him. But the stuff do come out of you. But I think that's over, I don't think that's within an hour or two or something. It may have to be a little while because you might not be all the way dead. You just have a headache. And then all your stuff gone, then it had to come back. I'm just kidding. So he does that, and then the girl comes back up, he gets her something. So here you have a hopeless situation, very hopeless, and then you add Jesus to your situation, and now it becomes hopeful. The only way you will have a situation that's hopeless is if he ain't involved. Now you are hopeless. I mean, literally. But if you add him, makes all the difference in the world. Watch this scripture, and then we're going to pray. Psalm 42:11. It's a good scripture. Because this verse lets us know. This David now. David said, why art thou cast down, O my soul, and why art thou disquieted within me? Now, if somebody today get depressed, they done been told they sinning and you shouldn't be doing all that. Listen, David acknowledged, Miss Phillips, he said, look, he said, my soul cast down. We can't even allow folk to be honest in church. Oh, you know the Lord that you ain't supposed to, come on now, get on up. Well, he didn't stop there. He said, oh, art thou cast down, O my soul. So he said, I am depressed. He admitted it. I am depressed, and my soul, I'm crushed. He said, but now in the midst of that, he's talked to himself. So hope thou in God. At some point in life, if you haven't done it, you literally going to have to talk to yourself. You're going to talk to, now, I don't recommend you do this in public. And be answering, you be talking, hey, self, and then you get back, because they're going to pick you up. And they should. Yeah, I'm talking about talking to yourself like, you're sitting there in your car, but don't do this in the middle of Van Buren. He said, hope thou in God, for yet shall I praise him. Now, he depressed. His soul is disquieted. He crushed. But he said, I'm going to praise out of this thing. We went to Chick-fil-A yesterday in Kalamazoo. I don't know if you know Idris Rashad. He went to Western. He was at Mount Zion when I was there, the owner of that Chick-fil-A. And he has a scripture every day on the door where they go in. And, everybody can see it when you go to the counter. He has a scripture up there. And yesterday he had a quote, and I loved it. It said, what did it say? I'm trying to get it verbatim. It says something like this. Regardless of the circumstance and regardless of what you are feeling, never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. See, we go straight to emotion and just lose it. Yeah, don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. Yeah. But that's presupposing that you're intelligent. Right? I mean, because if ain't nothing in there, you're going to go straight to that emotion. And God gave all of us some intelligence. Now, whether you use it or not is one thing. But you were born with some of it. Yeah, the old folk call it mother wit. They can't teach you that in the book. You either got that or you don't. Because, you know, them folk will be smart and they do something crazy and they say, he ain't got no mother wit. You know what I mean? He ain't got, like, street sense. You know, he can build an airplane, but if you dropped him off in Harlem, he would die because he don't know nothing. He don't know anything. He don't know how to adapt. He don't know how to, nothing. Okay? So he's talking to himself and he's telling himself to hope in God. And I'm going to praise through this thing. In the midst of his being depressed. Okay? He said, hope thou in God. All right? And again, as long as you got God, you always got a chance. Okay? Of course, I'm not by all means putting them in the same breath. But Ty Lue knows as long as 23 out there, he got a chance. Now, Toronto need to quit the NBA. They need to quit. They just need to stay in what it is. They in Canada, ain't they? Here you got a man who, I don't even know how LeBron was walking after that. He was so tired he couldn't stand up. He had a horrible game, shot back. Dre, they won. But the reason they won because they knew that 23 was there. And regardless of how good the team is on the other end, they always say, well, we got LeBron. We got the best player in the world. If you saw the game last night when Steph came in, ain't played in a month, first play in, rolls off a pick, hits a three like he ain't never missed a second. The crowd, everybody knows if he's out there, I don't care what the score is. So if these two people who are human beings and the people around them feel that much confidence, how much more should we have in God? Like, as long as God, now, if you tell me he ain't on the throne, I got a problem. But if he's still there, which we know he is, then there's hope here, Alan. I don't care what the score is. I don't care who coming to get you. I don't care what judge you stand in front of. As long as God is on, remember what the Hebrew boy said? He's able. And we're going to rest on his ableness. Because they said he might not. But the hope was down there, they said he's able. So don't listen to people who tell you, man, down there, you ain't going to never get out of that. Nah, man, you ain't going to never do that. You ain't going to never do that. You're going to always be renting. You're going to always be there. You ain't going to never own nothing. People be telling you all that stuff like, I don't want to hear all that. No, don't tell. That may be how you feel, but I don't need to hear all that. Because as long as you got Jesus, he's the master of the incurables and the hopeless situation. Let's get in groups of two. Two. If you in three, that ain't two. I'd love to be your accountant. Because you can't count. We can take your money. You wouldn't know it. Groups of two.